The moment is here, you can stop your search. It's Comics by Perch.
Hey everybody, this is Perch, and this is some news slightly out of date, I'm sure, by the time this video goes up, but that's the way it works. But it's not. This isn't a video about the news itself. It's about what makes for an ultimate fight or a definitive fight. So where this is coming from is Marvel is announcing the definitive Wolverine and Sabertooth story. So this is Wolverine and Sabertooth, obviously been arch rivals for a long time. Big rivalry, big fight. And we're going to get the ultimate Wolverine Sabertooth fight. So I'll read you this and parts of this, but there is one aspect of this thing that I like, and it's this. Wolverine and Sabertooth are arch enemies with a rivalry that dates back decades. And in January, Marvel Comics promises to tell the definitive Wolverine and Sabertooth story in the core Wolverine title. Okay, so by the way, +1, they're not doing a spin-off, a limited series of Wolverine versus, they're not doing a cash grab. It's in the Wolverine title. They're not rebooting Wolverine to do it. So titled Sabertooth War, the 10-part story will run in the ongoing Wolverine title starting in January's Wolverine 41 and culminating in Wolverine number 50, which, if you're doing the math right and they keep to a monthly schedule, that would be October. So before we get into the other parts of this that are less exciting to me, I want to say I'm excited about the prospect of it's happening in the core title. It is a 10-part story. That's a good sign. They're giving it some real time and depth. And it's going to stretch out for a year. I think there's a lot of good stuff there. I'm intrigued by the idea of them actually doing a longer story, run 10 issues in the normal series, starting with issue 41. So that's again, they're not a reboot, not a special thing, just starting there. That sounds pretty good. So we can get more into it. It says Wolverine writer Ben Percy will be joined by Victor Lavelle, who has written several recent Sabertooth stories. He did a Sabertooth in the Exiles book, which I did not think was very good. Others, it got kind of middle of the road marks from everything I read, but I didn't think it was a very good comic. But be that as it may. Yes, it's true. Victor Lavelle has written Sabertooth stories with that limited series thing. Anyway, artists Corey Smith and Jeff Shaw roll out the creative team with Smith illustrating the Wolverine-centric issues and Shaw taking on the Sabertooth side. That worries me a little bit, to be honest. We're going to get multiple artists in one book. I'm not terribly thrilled with that. And the Wolverine side and Sabertooth side is kind of a weird way to put it. And I don't know. I guess what I'm looking forward to here is just a really nice arc where we get some really good Wolverine Sabertooth comics at a big fight and something else. I don't know how you do a definitive Wolverine Sabertooth story with 2 artists, 2 writers, but why not? Little U will draw the covers for the story because, of course, they're not going to pay him to the interiors. It says it's a war decades in the making and kicks off when Sabertooth revives a deadly tradition with some of Logan's loved ones in the crossfire, only this time he has an entire army behind him, reads Marvel's description for Sabertooth War. The tradition they're referring to is Sabertooth used to attack Wolverine on his birthday in order to try and kill him for reasons that were not completely clear, but other than just to be a dick. Marvel continues, get ready for the showdown to end all showdowns, Wolverine versus Sabertooth. It's been years since these heavy hitters have crossed paths in the Marvel Universe, but as Krakoa falls, so rises Sabertooth, and he's out for revenge. They threw Victor Creed in the pit, but he's free and wielding an army of Sabertooths. Will prove once and for all why he is Logan's ultimate nemesis. Wielding an army of Sabertooths. Okay? It makes it sound like he's going to get a little clone army and attack with these with clones of Sabertooth. Maybe he's been, who knows? Maybe he's partnered up with the Beast. The Beast was trying to make a clones of Wolverine. Maybe we're going to get clones of Sabertooth. I don't know. But again, if you're doing the ultimate definitive Wolverine versus Sabertooth story, Sabertooth having an army of Sabertooths doesn't sound like it to me, although maybe I'll be pleasantly surprised. We'll see. Ben Percy goes for the sale by saying Sabertooth is is the definition of big bad, one of the nastiest, cruelest, scariest villains in the 616, and Wolverine's greatest nemesis. Yeah, okay. We plan to make this a visceral story of two lifelong enemies coming to their most violent ends, and I'm excited to get the blood flowing. Okay. So that's fine. It'll be a comic. It's a couple good things. I like they're doing the regular series. I like that they're giving it some breathing room. Don't like that we have multiple writers. Don't like that we have multiple artists. And the a big WTF to the idea that we're getting an army of Sabertooths. I think that runs counterintuitive to a definitive battle between the two. In my mind, and again, maybe I'm by myself here, so curious what you think. In my mind, if you're going to have a definitive hero versus villain, you need to have the kind of archetype of that hero. You need to have you're using the word definitive. You need to have the definitive version of that hero, the definitive version of that villain go head to head with each other. And if we're going to have shenanigans, if you will, of clones or time travel, I think that I don't know. I mean, if you're going to do a definitive, and this is a question for you, so in the comments, so think of two characters that you would like to see the definitive fight to. So it'd be like Superman, Lex Luthor, Batman, Joker, the Flash, Reverse Flash, or Green Lantern, Sinestro, Wonder Woman, and Mint. I'm just kidding. Wonder Woman and Ares, or pick your definitive fight of characters. That was a bunch of DC people. So Captain America and the Red Skull, Captain Marvel and Sales, like whatever those two diametrically opposed things are. What is that fight look like? Dan Slott and a box of donuts. I'm kidding. Sorry. I don't mean to be a complete dick to Dan Slott. I really don't. It's anyway. It was the dopey way they filmed him in that fucking documentary, where they deliberately did this. You watch that video again, where he's like walking down the hall, and they're deliberately filming it with an angle that makes him look bigger. I'm not joking. This wasn't me. This is Disney. Your beef is with Disney. Anyway, sorry. What is that hero villain? What's that definitive fight look like? And what are the hallmarks of it? I mean, to me, it's got to be the kind of the core of that character. Like, if you're gonna say, hey, this is this is the definitive fight between Captain America and his archenemy, the Red Skull. Oh, and P.S. Captain America will be this will be the Bucky version of Captain America. Then I don't think you don't have the definitive version of Captain America Red Skull. The definitive version has to be Steve Rogers and Red Skull. If you're going to do the Fantastic Four versus Doctor Doom, you cannot have the Ghost Rider, Wolverine, Spider-Man, and Grey Hulk version of the Fantastic Four. It's got to be the classic four characters. That's definitive. If you're going to have it be Doctor Doom, it can't be Christoph or Robot Doom. It's got to be the real Doctor Doom. I think that's kind of inherent in this thing. So I don't know. I mean, hey, I think a 10-part storyline, cool. Interested to see it. I think giving stories kind of more room to really tell a big story, cool. So I'm going to be in favor of it for that reason. But I think that, with all of the heroes and the villains we have, and one of the things we haven't gotten nearly enough of in comics are kind of true heroes have to take on a villain, unless it's Batman and Joker, in which case you've gotten that way too much. But when was the last time you saw kind of a big ass storyline? For that matter, back to DC for a minute. When was the last time you saw Green Lantern versus Sinestro in a big 12-issue storyline? A big threatening, Sinestro's really gonna F things up kind of storyline. When was the last time, we saw, some just poor version? I mean, for that matter, we just saw the Avengers versus an attempt at the Masters of Evil. But it was the multiversal Masters of Evil with team members that, were not really present on any previous Masters of Evil team. And the Avengers were including the Avengers BC and a bunch of other kind of crazy shit from around the multiverse. So I wouldn't call that a definitive fight between the Avengers and the Masters of Evil. If you're going to have the Hulk versus the Leader, we kind of saw some indications of that in in the run a couple of years ago, but not really. But I think in comics we're missing these big definitive versions of these fights of heroes versus villains. And so I'd like to see more of that. I'd like to see, a real storyline being brought forward with that. But I think it's gotta, it's gotta land. Again, I'm not, sounds like a video just bitching about nothing. Well, maybe. But I'm excited by the idea of having a, definitive Wolverine versus Sabertooth story. Marvel is right. It's been several years since we've gotten that true kind of knockdown, drag out fight that could be really well done. And Ben Percy, I think, when he puts his mind to it, can definitely create that kind of fight. I'm a little put off with the Army of Sabertooth's idea, but maybe I'm misjudging this, and maybe maybe it'll make some sense, and that sounds fine and everything else. But what makes a definitive version of something for you? What are the things it needs to have? Let me know in the comments below. Like and subscribe, of course, and thanks for listening.